What's your bull market prediction for 2024? What do you guys think is going to happen?
I think it's a grind lower in rates. I think rates probably 5.5%. I think would be a really good rate for 2024. I think it's reasonable that happens.
Then,
if you're a lender watching this, you better go through your contract and look at EPO protection, early payoff. Because I agree with Jeff, when it drops, it's going to drop quick. And when it does, anyone you closed on a transaction within 6 months, you better call them every day, because if they refinance, you're either going to pay back a portion of that commission or all the commission, or there is going to be a hit.
I just think about when rates jumped up. I remember like October of last year, and that happened quick. I feel like the same is going to happen, where they might catch it at another oh shit moment to be like, oh man, the only thing we can control here is rates. And then they're going to have to decrease at the same or cut at the same rate.
all right, guys. So welcome back to the show. So today, I got 3 special guests on, and I always say this. You guys are probably wondering, why do I have 3 different guests on that are going to talk about social media or using a platform or building your brand? Because a lot of the show we do talk about real estate investing. It's because you guys should have a brand. And I keep saying this over and over, but a lot of people think it's too hard. I have kids, I have a life, I have a job, I have this. And I brought 3 individuals on here today because they have all of that and they still do it. And it does help their business. So I got Mihn from What's a Mortgage. I got Jeb. So Jeb, you don't really have a tagline. So because Theoni is like, she's not your daddy's lender. That's her tagline. So Jeb, I don't know if you want to give yourself a tagline, because Mihn's What's a Mortgage.
You make up one. You just call me. Yeah, say whatever you want. It's
I don't
all
know,
good.
like the OC dude.
YouTube.
What's that?
There you go.
Jeb Jabs YouTube.
There you go. Jeb Jabs YouTube.
Jabs
There you go. I
YouTube?
love it.
That's a mouthful.
I know.
There we go.
There you go.
Well, guys,
We'll go
real
with
quick, whoever wants to go first, Jeb, you start, just kind of like what exactly you do, what platform you're really using, just so we kind of know, and how long you've been using that platform.
Yeah. So 20-year veteran in the real estate industry. Part of that time, about 10 years or so, I owned a mortgage company. So I'm familiar with lending. I'm familiar with, loans, and I could still do a loan today if I wanted to do one. So I understand that piece of the puzzle, but I sell real estate. That's my primary job. The platform that I use the most is YouTube. I've been able to build a pretty good brand on YouTube by my name. It was never thought, it was never intended to be what it is today. When it initially started, it was just me providing education to people that had questions about real estate and lending. I mean, I would get the same questions over and over and over again when I was a lender, when I was a real estate agent, or as I'm a real estate agent. And so I thought, I'll just create a platform to answer those questions. Little did I know, I kind of got sucked into the whole process, and here I am today. So, building a brand, building a business that is adding to my bottom line, if you will. It's created additional revenue sources. It's done a lot to kind of open my eyes to this whole social media world, if you will.
Nice. Mihn?
Oh, so for me, I've been doing mortgages for 20 years, but 2017 is the year I got into social media. Before middle of 2017, I had a pretty big team, mortgage company, and we were doing about 70 to 80 million a month in fundings. Other people kept on recruiting my loan officers. So I noticed it's just this revolving door, and a big guy came in who left one of my older companies, and he went to a really big companies, and he undercut me and took everybody. Wow. So I promised myself I would never, ever build my business around other people bringing me the business. So unless I'm the rainmaker, or I call it the A side, like Mayweather says, I will not do business. So I made sure that I can control the narrative and that I brought in the business. So I started with Facebook. Facebook killed it. Of course, Facebook kind of mellowed out, got into Instagram. I could not do TikTok because I was at Loan Depot, and everything with the China and the TikTok thing, and we don't know if it was real or not. They were banning TikTok at that moment. So I really never jumped into TikTok. By the time I did, it was already a couple years in the game. So I just put more of my energy into Instagram, and Instagram is my jam. And, I am very proactive with the audience, and, I stopped. So I started in 17. I stopped doing loans. I haven't looked at a 1003, or what do they call it now? An EARL? 1003 in a while, since 2008, middle of 2018. So I do content, and I manage my team, and I jump on the phones with consumers here and there when they need their hands held. Pretty much that's mostly what I do.
Yeah.
So I got into the industry when I was 18. I was put in a
Wow.
marketing role, actually. Yeah. So summer after freshman year, I was serving at my parents' restaurant, and it was like, hey, we got a bunch of loan officers that are over 50 and they don't even know how to post on Facebook. And I was like, if that's marketing for you guys, like I'm in, I can do that. So I went. And then I started asking them questions about like, what is interest rate? Like, what is, I didn't even know anything. I was in college and I didn't know anything about a mortgage. So before I left for that summer back to school, they offered me a position to be a loan assistant, basically. So they gave me a company laptop and I worked for a bank at the time. I was with them for about 8 years, but that's kind of how I started out. And I didn't know anything about it. And then I went to school for economics and business. So it was really cool to mesh the two worlds together. And then social media for me was really personal because I was really pissed off that my friends and I were spending so much money on college and not knowing the basics of how to buy a house and when you should start building credit, things like that. So I hopped on social media while I was in college, kind of bragging about like how much money I was making, because in college, like that was some serious money that I was making, and also kind of being like, here's also what I'm learning on top of the business and economic classes that you guys are going to. And then it just blew up. So TikTok for me is my biggest avenue because that is my demographic. That is where I feel like I can relate to most of those people. And I feel like I've gotten really good at simplifying things so well that that's just like TikTok's gig, basically. So now, but now I'm tapping into Instagram too. So I will say that.
Yeah. I mean, and also too, I had you guys on because there are people that have, and we talked about this, Mihn, and I mean, Jeb, when we were with each other, we all have, is people have followings and they have these, things, but I always ask them, cool. So how many leads are you getting? None. How much business? None. So I'm like, you're posting all this stuff. You're not getting business. I'm like, it's not like it's a waste of time, but I'm like, wow, that's insane. So you guys all have followings. It's actually generating business. I know, Jeb, you kind of have a multi-business because you have leads coming from all over the country, but you guys have figured that game out. So if you guys can give like, before we kind of jump into, the social media game, what's your kind of, obviously we're sitting here, rates dropped about a point, the 10-year treasury's on its way back down even a little bit more, which I'm happy about. I know Mihn's going to smile over there, but what's your bull market prediction for 2024? What do you guys think is going to happen over the next year? Whoever wants to jump in first, fire away.
I'll jump in. I mean, I talk about this all the time. So, I mean, for me, it's, I think it's a grind lower in rates. I think rates probably 5.5%, I think would be a really good rate for 2024. I think it's reasonable that happens, but I don't think you see that happen in a week or, 2 weeks, that sort of thing. I just had a really good interview with Matt Graham from MBS Live, and I mean, what he broke down in there and his thoughts are fascinating. And I won't talk about that here, but it's he thinks that things could happen quicker than what I'm talking about here. But nevertheless, I think rates somewhere in the 5% range. I think home prices 3 to 5% appreciation is probably realistic in 2024. I think it's a market very similar to this year. I think there's more transactions, but I think it's still a grind for buyers and sellers.
Cool. Then
first, if you're a lender watching this, you better go through your contract and look at EPO protection. You want to make sure you got that EPO protection, early payoff, because I think I agree with Jeb. When it drops, it's going to drop quick. And when it does, anyone you closed on a transaction within 6 months, you better call them every day, because if they refinance, you're either going to pay back a portion of that commission or all the commission, or there is going to be a hit. So I agree with Jeb. When it happens, it's going to be like a thief in the night. Think about this. Rates went from 8.5 to 7.5 in just a week because of some news. Today, I think Jerome Powell says that we probably won't cut rates, but he pretty much, unless it's 100% concrete, we're not hiking. So if he says we are done hiking, the 30-year should come down automatically because the speculation is gone. So that's where I think we'll see the 6s. And they're talking about 4 rate cuts next year. I think if all 4 does happen, then I'm with Jeb. I see the 5s. If they don't cut all 4, then I don't think we'll see the 5. So when they start cutting, we'll probably see the mid low 6s. But when the cuts start going through, I think it's going to get crazy. But if that happens too quick, every LO is going to be paid back.
Yeah. No, I agree. And also too, I think when they mention cutting, we'll start seeing the spreads come, right? From the 10-year, 30-year, because that spread's still high. Like if that thing came down, people forget about that.
This morning, yesterday OPEC made their announcement about cutting back on oil, and all of a sudden the 10-year went up. And then today he said, hey, we're probably done hiking. I think we're done hiking. So it jumped back up 20 points.
Land the plane. Land the plane, baby.
Yeah.
Theoni, what do you got? What are you seeing?
I said the same thing. So, I mean, I just think about when rates jumped up. I remember like October of last year, and that happened quick, right? Like that was a big shock to consumers and to us. That was a big jump. So, I mean, I think that with that, it was almost like an oh shit moment that the feds had, oh my gosh, like we have been tracking inflation a little bit wrong. I feel like the same is going to happen, where they might catch it at another oh shit moment to be like, oh man, the only thing we can control here is rates. And then they're going to have to decrease at the same or cut at the same rate. And so I think when that happens, I definitely think everybody should be following up with everyone that you're purchasing, but that's part of this personal brand that you're building, because, people are going to want to reach out to you. And I think that that's like a really important piece. I have everybody on a drip, even if I'm not personally doing it, like my systems are, and my personal brand is in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah. So I think the biggest challenge for a lot of people is, especially now, right? They want to post on social media. They want to do all this stuff. It's overwhelming. There's just so much noise. There's so much stuff. I always tell people, if they ask my recommendation, I said, I would just pick a platform and focus on that at first, because you got to kind of like just start with one thing. Like people try and do all this stuff, or you don't have a team, you don't have experience. So question for Theoni, we'll just start with you, is why did you pick your platform, which you might already know you answered, but also if you were going to go backwards and start over today with all and you're going to be like, how can I hack time and get there quicker? Can you kind of just describe quickly like what you would do differently, and maybe what you did in the beginning you thought was, this was the right way to do it. Now you're like, no, I should have done it this way.
Yeah. So I picked TikTok because TikTok's editing was a lot better than Instagram's editing, honestly. And so I liked how I could edit videos in the app and the way that I could do it. So it sounds crazy because I don't know if I talk about this a lot, but I posted on TikTok just so it would post. So it went to my camera roll so that I had it to upload to Instagram. And so one thing I wish I would have told myself is pay attention a little bit more in the platform you're editing in, because maybe if like there was a reason why I liked it better, I should have just like stuck with it and not tried to build this brand on Instagram, because I gave a lot of time on Instagram and I had a business page. I think I had a page that was Save Your Money with Theoni, like, which is
classic. That's great.
Still alive. It's just private somewhere. But nobody follows, like people aren't loyal to brands. They're loyal to people. And that's why a personal brand is so different. So I wish that somebody would have told me, like, just chill out on making yourself look like professional and fun, and just be like fun and add the professional into it. Cause that's really that's my brand. And so I think like people are really scared. What if I say the wrong thing? What if like this customer won't call me? I think that just starts with like knowing who that person is, because if you aren't somebody who minds a toddler in the background sometimes, or that my schedule is like all over the place, well, you're not my ideal client anyway. Like I don't want to work with you anyway. And I think that's really hard for us to grasp in this industry, because we just are like yes men and women. Like we want to help as many people as possible, but like niching down and figuring out the pain points of my ideal consumer, I wish I would have known that, because I was the lender that did all of it, set you up years in advance to buy a house. And then that ended up with no business for me at all, because they would just take my advice and go somewhere else.
Yeah. And I mean, I know from just, talking to you guys, doing this is knowing your avatar and who you're talking to is probably like a good starting point. Cause if you're just throwing shit out there, that's what you're going to get back. So, and I know you guys are really focused on that. So that's one thing. So if you're like Theoni's like, yeah, I'm trying to go after the people on TikTok, maybe they're the millennials, that is mine. I'm not trying to go after Betty Boo. That's, 70 years old. It's, that's not your clientele. Men, same questions. Why the platform? And then, if you started over again, like what would you, to hack time, you're like, what would you have done way differently?
I went with Facebook first, because back then it was Facebook. I started in 2017. Instagram wasn't popping yet. TikTok wasn't around. I started with Facebook and I end up on Instagram. The reason why I like the Instagram platform, because I can scale it. There's just more tools with ManyChat. You can run ads. There's just more you can scale and turn it into a business. Not, I can just be, it's running a business. So that's why I like it a lot more. It's running a business. Yes, you are the face, but you can run, I feel like Instagram, you can run the business. You can see where the leads are coming from. They can go to the stand store. You can track a lot more. And then you can turn on and off your ads a lot better. I think TikTok is evolving with ads, but Instagram has it down. The type of ads I like to run. So that's why I like Instagram a lot more. The algorithm likes me a lot more now. It recognizes my voice. So even though I might go dum dum diddy, it's going to go viral. I'm like, so that's why I don't do that. That's why it recognizes my voice now. So that's why I like Instagram so much. If I had to do it all over again, I'm with Theoni. I'm crazy now. I wish I would have done my Dream 100 audience. What I did afterwards now, why we're killing it now with higher rates, I read .com Secrets finally like 5 years afterwards. So I went to the bookstore, right? And one of the magazine sections, I started getting pictures of who I want as an audience. I started cutting it out like a board and I put that on the wall. So I would talk to this board of pictures of people. And I started seeing who's on my board. So I maybe changed my language a little bit, also changing my message so that I'm talking to the right audience. I wish I would have done that earlier so I don't mess around with a bunch of, beginner home buyers who are not ready to buy. I would talk about more things about shopping for a mortgage, getting pre-approved. I wish I'd stayed away from all the credit repair on how to build your down payment, away from the earlier. Not saying I don't want to give that information, but I want to hyper focus on people who are ready to buy, just who are they going to pick? So now my content is more focused on that. So I built out my funnels and now I use ClickFunnels a lot more to attack my email list. And I did that back then. We were killing it in 2020, 2021. We were funding over 70 million a month with What's the Mortgage. And we had a 25,000 people audience. I wish I would have ran more funnels into that audience. I would have probably not be working right now.
It's funny. I think I told you this, man. It was like 2018. We were at some like happy hour thing with the company I was at. I remember telling my sales manager, this is when I was like, we sold our property management company. And I was like, I need to start doing marketing because I never did. And I never did content or anything. And I was like, somebody's going to be like an influencer, like on Instagram or Facebook, and they're just going to be like the face and they're just going to have all these leads in the background. The guy looked at me like I was crazy, and I was like, well, it's like, it's happening today. So, because you could just tell, like, it's like your guys are just consistently educating. Jeb, so why'd you pick your platform? And then the same thing, how would you start over again to hack it differently?
I kind of fell into it. It wasn't on purpose at the time. For me, Google owns YouTube. It was for me, it was initially like SEO type content, right? Create evergreen content, searchable content, how to buy a house in 2023, how to get a mortgage, that sort of thing. And I would create content around that because I thought it was all searchable. Over time, it's evolved, right? It's still SEO, but more AI now, right? So AI really controls what people watch, how they watch it, what shows up in feeds, more so than the searchable stuff. Now, the searchable stuff still works. It's just it's less viral, that sort of thing. It's evergreen. So for me, it was kind of going that direction. I just kind of fell into it. And for me, again, I think longer form conversation allows you to get a deeper connection with the audience, right? 30 seconds, 45 seconds, depending on what your time frame is, on video, 15 seconds, whatever the number is. And initially when these platforms were coming out, the time frame was so short. So in order to build, a loyal audience, if you will, people that know you, like you, trust you, very difficult in a short time frame. Longer form videos, they say, okay, Jeb's providing me free education. He's taking his time out here. He's giving me all this free stuff and he's not really asking for anything. That to me is an easy way to build a brand because, it's less ask, more give. But with that, if I had to go back and do it over, some things I would do differently. I would ask early on for things, for people to take action, not necessarily to call me or to do this, but just action in general. Because if you don't ask, people a lot of times won't do it. A simple request, a simple ask, people find value in what you provided. Many times they'll do that. And for me, initially, I thought it was, quantity over quality when it came to videos. And so I was to a point where, when I first started doing this, which was like right at the beginning of COVID, I was putting out like 5 videos a week because I thought, hey, the more content you do, the quicker it is, the quicker it'll go viral. But no, that is not how it works. It is, you're in theory messing with the algorithm for one by posting too much content. You're sabotaging yourself for one on the platform, on YouTube. Now, other platforms I realize work differently. But YouTube, you can sabotage your own content. You can have a video doing really well. You can post a similar video and kill the previous video's momentum. So I was killing my own momentum really early on for a very long period of time. In fact, I was probably up to 30 or 40,000 subs before I actually talked to someone, took a class, and understood, hey, this is how this works. You're doing it kind of wrong. And if I had to do it over again, I would probably post less content, better content, just take a step back, probably wouldn't do my own editing like I did to start with. I would send that out to people. I mean, the best thing I did as a creator, which I still hate that word as I'm like, but that's what I am, right? I'm a creator, is that I would source things out very early on. It's people can do things better than you can. So figure out what you're good at, do it, and then hand it off and let somebody else do the rest. And I still have trouble with that in the content creation world is handing things off, delegating. But I would do it earlier on and then focus on what I'm good at, which is providing value, education. Like I can explain something to people in a way they can understand. And, at least I feel like I can, and let them do what, with it, what they want. But I think that is, my quality and fitting out my avatar, right? It took me a long time to figure out who my avatar was, and I worked backwards. I'm now creating videos for an avatar that isn't the avatar that I would have wanted. So I started out really early on talking to the first-time home buyer, talking to the person with little money, lower credit scores. Why? Because those, in theory, are the people that really probably need the most help in a lot of ways, because there's so many things that they need to overcome in some facets. But at the same time, that's not my client. That's not who I want to potentially do business with. And so if I had to do it over, I would start with avatar and then create the content around them.
Yeah. And then staying with you, Jeb, and then move down you guys. So I think one of the biggest challenges when the first time you're going to go say, I got to figure out who my avatar is, right? They're trying to figure out, because that's the first step. I think for a lot of people, it's a challenge. So when you guys, because it's kind of like, who's your dream client? And I think they're like, well, how in the hell do I find that? How do I talk to them? Can you kind of describe, once you figured out who your avatar was, what that process was, and then how you figured out how to start talking to them and getting them to listen to you?
Are you talking to me?
Yeah. Sorry.
Right. Yeah. So I still am not speaking to my avatar. If we're being completely honest, I'm speaking to the avatar that is watching my videos. I'm not speaking to necessarily the avatar that I want to be focusing on. And that's that. Unfortunately, now I've built a brand, that is decent size, that's generating leads and doing other things. And so for me to start over and do that, I don't know that I'm willing to do it, right? I'm not willing to start over and create a whole nother channel for the audience that I essentially want to do videos to, if you will. In some ways I am. I'm going to start doing more local content around Orange County, which is really my avatar. But I haven't 100% committed to doing that yet. But that's where I'm at, man. I'm still making videos for that person that wants to become a home buyer and really has no idea where to start, what to do, how it impacts them, just really trying to break things down in a way that people can understand.
Awesome. Mihn, same kind of question is, I think a lot of people, you talk to a lot of people, give a lot of advice. And the big thing, I mean, when I first met you, is like, who you talking to? That was like our first conversation. Like, who you talking to? That was one of your first questions for me. I think it's hard for people to figure out who their audience is. And they're like, well, how the hell do I market to them? Like, I know we talked about that. You just talked a minute ago. How did you figure that out? Like, what is the path? What does that look like? I know you had stuff on the wall and all that, but I think that's a big problem for people to overcome.
I look at the metrics of like how long it takes to convert a deal. And I agree with Jeb. Like, so on YouTube, it lives on forever, all your videos. So it's a little bit different than Instagram. Instagram, you have to stay more consistent with content. You have to post a lot, unlike YouTube. So if you change your personality and you're on there so often, the audience starts steering in that direction. So I went from averaging 400 followers a day on Instagram to now I went to almost nothing because I made a change actually recently. And then I'm back up to like 250 a day now. And the changes I made is I don't talk about anything regarding someone who's going to buy a home in the future. I don't do that beginner avatar at all. I do hey, how do you make sure you don't overpay when you buy? So anyone who's thinking about overpaying, they're buying now. I don't talk about assumable mortgages. I don't talk about anything that's a house hack. I stay away from all the house hacks. All my stuff, I have a I have my value ladder, and my value ladder has 5 pillars, and I stay within the 5 pillars. I talk about AVMs. I talk about soft credit pool. I call it the safeguard approval to make it sound a little bit sexier. I talk about underwritten approval, and I just talk about things that are ready to do, that the consumer is ready to pull the trigger right now. So it literally took 2-3 months to change the audience around. I think it's easier on Instagram than it is on YouTube, because the information, it lives on, but it's like buried so deep. The SEO is not as strong. So as you change and they see you more active, then the avatar starts changing. And I just needed to look for people ready to pull the trigger right now. So my email campaigns and my funnels go to the people that, hey, they were going to take 6 months to a year to buy. Most of my audience that converts now, they're buying within 90 to 120 days. So I was looking for that, because I know as we're in this market, I need people like right now, not later.
Yeah. And so a lot of it's like you're getting started. It's trial and error. You just don't know. You got to test things.
Correct.
Okay. Theoni?
So I would say the like daddy's way of doing things is the avatar. And then I call it the not your daddy's way is pain points. So when I realized that about 6 months ago, I had this avatar, but I wasn't converting those people. So then I switched it to pain points. And then when I figured out that my ideal consumer's pain point is that they have a shit ton of money, are very well qualified, and they're just simply not getting good service, because they just don't either know where to find it, or they're chasing the lowest possible rate in the industry and won't stop until they get it, because that's what their dad probably told them to do. Once I figured out that that was the pain point I was chasing, I started meeting people where they were with my content. So it was people who were already under contract or just went under contract, and they didn't understand the loan estimate sheet. They don't understand what they're getting themselves into. They don't understand their investment. They don't understand anything. So once I figured that out, that became how I made my content and what I talked about. So I challenge people like, yes, you can have this avatar and this person, and you can call her Sally, and she can be somebody who works out every day, whatever. But also, like, what is Sally's pain point that you can talk to? Because that pain point is going to be the problem that you solve for the consumer. And then you're just always going to get Sally's with that same pain point that you can fix. So that's that's my approach.
I like it.
We've been working on this for the past few months. You know, we always want to bring as much value as we possibly can. And our partner, Prime Corporate Services, is all about bringing you a service you can't get anywhere else at a price you can't get anywhere else. Whether you're new to owning a business or owning a property, or you're an experienced property owner or investor, Prime Corporate Services is not only going to help you, but they're going to make the process so much easier. So if you book a call, the first thing they're going to do for you is help you understand what your business structure should look like, your corporate structure, tax planning, estate planning, all of that. Maybe you're saying, I'm brand new to starting a business and all this sounds foreign and complicated. Remember, this company helps new people just getting started every day. They're going to help you form the entity that's best for you and walk you through the process. Before I found this company, we paid thousands of dollars to other attorneys, CPAs, and consultants to try to understand exactly how we need to be structured to be as protected as possible. We've also gone the other route and used online platforms to form entities which unnecessarily put us at risk. You guys, you don't have to do that with this company. They'll do all of these things for you at a reasonable price, so you never have to think about saving money at the expense of exposing yourself to liability. We've searched high and low, and you will not find this much value anywhere else. All you have to do is schedule a free call today. Just go to primecorporateservices.info/GITCG. Once again, that's primecorporateservices.info/GITCG. We'll also leave the info for you in the show notes.
So I think the other thing is you get lead flow in, and you got to have call to actions, which we call CTAs, and you're pushing people to do that, right? And so that's one thing I learned. It's like we were talking, right? When you and I had that meeting, you're like, well, you don't want to blow up yet because where people are going in this, it's like you're just going to miss all the traffic. So if you could talk about that, what quickly, how have you kind of set your thing up? Where do people go if they find you and they go and link into, and why is that so important and such a game changer?
Yeah, this is huge. When I first went viral on TikTok, I got 222 applications overnight. And because I worked for a bank, I was licensed in all 50 states. So I truly got 225 applications. Like, people just applied and Encompass is not meant for people who go viral. Like, Encompass does not know that at all. So it took me, 3 days to sort just the applications. And I got like 800 emails, because all I had in the link in my bio was my link to apply and my email address. So if people wanted to find me, that's where they went. And so I kick myself all the time because I converted like I don't even know. It's pathetic. So little of them. I mean, they became my email list and it's fine, but I didn't have a system set up. So I tell people, like, when you're first starting out with your journey, have something in place to filter these people out. So right now, I mean, I have like quizzes to filter people out before they even go to their application. I don't want people to apply unless they're ready to go and buy today, right now. Like, let's do it. So I have quizzes set up for that. I have debt consolidation worksheets. I have loan estimate sheet uploads for people who are under contract, want me to, review estimates. And then that helps you not feel so overwhelmed, because 222 applications is great. But if you're not making any money, what the fuck am I making content for? Yeah. So it's like, have to kind of think about that. But nobody thinks about that when they first start out, because when you're first starting out, you have 10 followers and you're like, who's listening to me? But when it happens, especially on TikTok, it happens really fast and literally overnight, like it did for me. So now I have all these different systems. I have automation set up to like text people to let them know I'm on it, because that's a big thing too. The consumer just wants you to know that the information they sent you, you have it and you're working on it, even if you get back to them 2 days later, a day later, or whatever it is. So it's like having these things in place before that happens will save you a lot of time, because I spent 3 nights trying to filter through all this stuff, and will actually make you money because you'll be able to grab some of the leads that you just spent so long trying to get.
Mihn?
For us, we use ManyChat, and we're still a little archaic in a sense where we have 2 people on concierge. There were loan officers that they know loans, but they don't know, they can't close the front door. So they help, if midway through the ManyChat, if they stop, then they jump in, answer the questions, they'll engage. And then once they have enough information, like Theoni said, we send them an app link, or we connect them with a realtor, put them on a home search. So, but yeah, we we use ManyChat, we use people, we have an automated texting system. So when people text in, I'll say like, hey, if you're a shy guy, a shy girl, you don't want to call in, send us a text. If they send us a text, it starts the automation. So we use Follow Up Boss and we use Arrive. Before, we were using Go High Level because we used to sell leads when we left, Loan Depot. So now we're just Follow Up Boss and Arrive, and we just send out the app links. But pretty much everything's like automated now.
Yeah, Arrive is great. I love that platform.
Yeah.
And then Jeb, you're just, YouTube's a little bit different beast, because I don't think it's like as interactive and DMs and all that. So it's a little bit different setup, correct?
Yeah. So I don't get a lot of DMs. I mean, I get DMs from, people, find me on Instagram or whatever. Yeah. And I've done, Instagram and TikTok for like a minute here and there. Right. So I kind of go through these phases where I'm like, maybe I should be on these platforms. And then I realize I hate them. And I'm like, this is not for me. And then I kind of go back and forth. So I'm always like, maybe I should do this. Maybe I shouldn't. So I'm that guy. I am like the person probably listening to this going, which platform is right, blah, blah, blah. And I've just found my groove in YouTube. And so that's what I focus on, right? I mean, I think it's focus, consistency. Consistency is the most important piece here. If you haven't gotten that from the people chatting, consistency is the most important piece. But going back to the lead deal, so I've generated about 4,500 leads in the course of about 2.5 years.
Damn.
Maybe 2 years. And it's from kind of building the brand like we've talked about, but creating advocates, creating trust in the business, right? And I've been able to do that for a number of different reasons. One is I am a big personal growth guy. I go to a lot of seminars. I talk to a lot of agents. I talk to a lot of mortgage professionals across the United States. And so I've been able to build relationships long-term with a lot of people. And so when I tell people on my platform, hey, if you're looking for a mortgage professional, if you're looking for an experienced real estate agent anywhere in the country, somebody that does business like I do, click the referral link below, that sort of comment, I truly mean it. Like, I am going to send you to somebody who is going to take care of you that I know personally. And so a lot of people out there that are in this business that, like me, have gotten approached by, different websites that essentially sell their information. So you get a lead coming in, they sell your information to somebody else, and they have no idea who the fuck is contacting them on the other side. I refuse to do that. I've built people that know, like, and trust me. I want people to get taken care of. Now, that doesn't mean 100% of the time that person loves the person on the other end, because that's just how relationships are. It doesn't always work out. But I will say, the large majority of the time, it works out. And it's comes from people coming in, using a referral link. I use a basic link, a type form link, where people put in their information. I ask some basic questions, email, name, time frame, what is it you're looking for, area that you're looking to be. And then those leads essentially get routed through Bonzo and to the people that are serving them. On the mortgage side, the referral, the real estate side is a little bit different because it's not state specific, right? It's city specific, county specific in a lot of ways. So it takes more time on my side to say, okay, you're looking in Portland. Okay, I know who my guy is in Portland. And setting up that referral versus the mortgage side, right? Because the mortgage side is a little bit easier in the state that, hey, if you serve California, where California you can do business there. So those get routed a little bit differently, but that's essentially how my business works. And because of, the leads, the YouTube, the referrals, I mean, it's all of that is probably added a third to my bottom line in revenue per year since it started. So not immediately, it's taken time, but it's definitely added another layer to the revenue stream, if you will.
Nice. And Jeb, I want to say on you. So I think somebody that's not in real estate, not in mortgage, they're listening to this. If you could just share like how this has really changed your life. And then also if they wanted to do it, doesn't matter their business. What are the 3 most important tips you're going to give anybody when they say, hey, if I'm going to go on YouTube and start, these are the 3 most important things you focus on or do?
Right. What I will say is I pay attention now in different ways, right? So when you're involved in something, it's that reticular activator, right? You go to buy the white Tesla and then you see white Teslas everywhere, right? Well, there's white Teslas everywhere, regardless of whether you pay attention to it. But that sort of thing. And so now when I'm out in public, I see people looking at their phones. They're watching. What are they watching? They're watching YouTube. Like people everywhere, their lunch breaks, they're constantly on YouTube. And I think that's crazy, right? Like everybody's watching long form videos, right? I mean, sometimes shorts, but longer form videos during their lunch breaks and all these things. And I think it is the new TV, right? My kids watch YouTube at home on the 80-inch screen you sit on the couch and watch YouTube on it. And I'm like, dude, go watch it, but that's what they're into. And so it's evolving. It's not too late to get into it. Just like I don't think it's too late to get into TikTok and Instagram. I mean, you've missed that initial jump in some of these platforms, but there's so much in the future. I mean, this is the direction that things are headed. And if it changes to another platform, that's okay. Like you've built, how to do it. And I think that's what's important is like, okay, if it's no longer YouTube, it's something else. Well, you know how to do it now. You've created it. It's easy to make that transfer. But what I would say as far as advice goes, doesn't matter industry. I don't think that matters, whatever. I think you can build anything. I know plumbers on there. I know electricians on there. I know handymen on there that are killing it in their business, on their channels, making a lot of revenue in brand deals and that sort of thing. But for me, I've told you guys both of this in separate conversations, but realizing that I wasn't my audience is probably the best advice I can give you. And what I mean by that is I like to consume content a certain way. I like fact-based content. I like to read. And so watching videos isn't really my thing for the most part. And so that's probably kind of crazy that I'm on video doing this, but it's realizing I'm not my audience in the way that I present content. Because I would watch a video that I just filmed and I would be like, this is garbage. Like, I hate it. But yet I would put it out because I needed to put a video out. And then people would comment and go, God, that video was awesome. It was so informative. It taught me everything I needed to know. Thank you. Thank you. And I'd be like, what? Like, you thought that was valuable? And I realized, yeah, it's because they're coming at it from a different perspective. They don't have maybe the same standards I do when I put out content. Maybe they don't even care. They're just looking for information. And so, number one, that's it. 2, consistency. I said it a moment ago. Consistency is key. And 3rd, not getting caught up in perfection. It's really easy in this business, in any type of content, to overthink it. In life, it's easy to overthink things. I think shoot first, ask questions later, put out the content now. You're going to get responses, and some of them will be positive, some of them will be negative, and use that to better your content. What do people like about it? What do people have a problem with? And try to build a brand around it. And you don't necessarily need to build your brand around what people are saying, but I think too many people get caught up in the idea that I'm never going to put something out because I missaid that or I did this. You just put it out and let things happen. I tell you, I mean, I say things, I've said things in video that I watch back and I'm like, shit, like probably shouldn't have said that, or I said that wrong, but I know what I meant. I'll just put it out there. Somebody will comment on it. Like people will tell you when they don't think you're right on the internet, and don't get caught up in it. So instead of continuing to go down that path, those are really the things I would focus on.
So, Mihn, how's, Instagram, the platforms change your life? And then, what's the 3 biggest tips you're going to give somebody that's going to ask you off the street?
I think it changed my life where it gave me back my life. I think about it as a realtor, lender entering the game. People don't realize you're going to work crazy hours, crazy time, and social media changes, or Instagram changed the narrative where you don't have to work crazy hours. As long as you are the rainmaker, and if you can either be the salesperson in the industry that does all the crazy hours, or you're the rainmaker and you don't have to do all the crazy hours. You have a choice. Instagram gave me that choice. I want to stay in the industry. I want to make money, but I don't want to kill myself to do it. And I see a lot of people so burnt out. And the reason why they can't keep doing it and they take their money and do something else. I love this business. I just don't love other aspects of it. So Instagram gave me time back, and I'm up at 5. I'm done by 11 a.m. And I spend the rest of my day with my son, my wife. I talk to people here and there, but I don't do the crazy hours anymore. I do Monday through Thursday. Friday, I lollygag. I go movie days on Friday, and real estate and mortgage really took away my time with my brother, my parents, my wife, and my son. And Instagram allowed me to get it all back. I have a great relationship with my brother, my wife, my wife. Again, I restored my relationship. We almost, split up. My wife, my son, he loves me. Like, we spend so much time together. He's my road dog. And my parents, my mom and I, we weren't on best of terms. And now we're in an amazing place. And Instagram did that for me. That's why, if you are in any industry, it's going to be hard to stay in it for a long time unless you can find a way to still make the money and take the foot off the gas pedal. And to me, it's going to be social media. Instagram, TikTok, or YouTube. I know for sure Jeb travels. Jeb does his thing. I talked to him offline before, so I know he lives a pretty good life, but the social allows you to do that. For me, if you are going to use Instagram, I rock Theoni style. That's why Theoni gives so much. I changed the way I did content because of you. Because of that, I got rid of all my editors. I got rid of all the people I needed full time because people wanted that genuine conversation. And since I became more genuine, like I said, I had to go through change my avatar a bit, but now my stuff's picking up more because I'm more me holding the camera, me being funny, being really me. So, minimize, don't do overproduction on editing. Yes, you should have some editing, but there's so many ways to do it at an affordable price now. Save that money. If you're going to do Instagram, put it into paid advertising. I've seen a lot of big accounts right now. They're not making money. I've seen 300,000, 500,000 people accounts. They're not converting at the velocity I am, but I did paid advertising. Now my realtors pay for my paid advertising now. But yeah, paid advertising is the key to Instagram. If you want to hyper focus a high quality audience that's going to use your product and actually fall in love with you, because Instagram and TikTok, it's hard to go viral. Theoni, she's got it. I don't. I just, I don't have what she has. So I needed paid advertising behind it. So, ease off on the editing, paid advertising, and get click funnels or any funnels, because a lot of these people aren't going to pull the trigger right away. So you need an amazing system to keep people in your ecosystem. So the reason why we popped so many escrows we're closing more deals now than we did last year. And the only reason why, because our funnels are turning our audience for us. So that's the 3 things I recommend.
Nice. I did like that. I mean, I know, Jeb, we talked about that this for you too. It gave you more for freedom too, brought back time. Theoni, again, how's this change your life? And then 3 tips if somebody's, off the street says, how do I get started on TikTok?
Yeah. So for me, when I started into the industry, I was under very old school, old-minded bankers that gave me a list of 15 agents that did business, and I was to call them and book coffee meetings. And as a 21-year-old, I didn't really even feel comfortable, and I didn't even want to work with these people. So for me, it's changed my life because I get the freedom of choosing who I want to work with. And I think that could sound selfish, but I definitely think with more leads, you can say more no's. And you can't say more no's if you don't have enough, lead influx. My husband says that actually. He's the brains behind all my systems. His marketing team does all of my shit, but he says that all the time. He tells people, what would 500 leads do for you? And he would say it would allow you to say more no's. And that is truly when you start to become able to create this fan base clientele that will always rave you on. So I think for me, it was, of course, the freedom. But I was stuck in a place where I was picking up calls from people I hated on the weekends. I was picking up calls at 10 p.m. and I could do that before because I didn't have kids. But once I had my first kid and I was sitting there, and I'll never forget it, the day I gave birth, I was on my email two hours after I literally pushed him out of my body. And I was like, something is wrong here. And even then I had a big social presence, but it was the pressure of feeling like you always have to be on for these people who don't appreciate you if something like that happens. So for me, it's been the ability to say no to leads and say no to people that I don't want to work with, that don't align with like where I want to go. So that to me is its weight in gold, because there are a lot of lenders and a lot of realtors who feel like they have to work with certain people in the industry or else they don't make money. And once you break out of that, your production skyrockets, your life becomes better. And so I think that is the biggest thing it did for me. And then 3 tips for TikTok would be when you pick up your phone and you start recording a video, I know you're doing this, Mihn, move the camera. Like, I know it sounds crazy, but like pick it up from here and start pressing record and then talk. Let that like 1 second draw people in, because think about how much time we spend scrolling. It's the same person sitting at the same desk, like not moving.
Are you talking about me?
No.
YouTube's completely different.
You don't scroll. You don't pop up on my scrolling, but like, cause I'm not on YouTube. YouTube's different, but yeah. You're supposed to do something that like engages your audience. And TikTok is, if you can get that engagement within the first couple seconds, like people watch my 3-minute long videos on TikTok, which is insane to me. But if you can capture that, then you start to become really good at it, throughout any video. And that is a really good trait to just have. The second one is to be like really raw and unfiltered. And what I mean by that is it's okay to not have the first-time homebuyer be your consumer, because for every person who chooses that path, there's going to be 15 million other realtors and lenders behind you that do want to work with them. So like, do your clients a service and not a disservice by not touching people's ideal customer, and like go touch yours and go feed your audience. And I think TikTok, the more raw and unfiltered you are, the better it will perform and the more likable you'll be. And then just do like regular people stuff. Like go cut up a salad and talk about interest rates. Like get in your car and drive your kid to soccer practice and let him be in the background and talk about inflation. Like do things that your consumers are going to do, and then talk about things as if they were like in the car with you. So those are my 3 tips.
That's awesome. I mean, yeah, I think there's just a lot for people to swallow there. So if you guys could each just leave us with one thing, like what to wrap up, how would you leave with people? I mean, we just consumed a lot of stuff. Just talk about your individual platform. Somebody's going to watch this and go, holy smokes. I guess say, hey, make a case of why they should do TikTok, Instagram, or YouTube. So, sell them on why they should do your platform. Theoni, if you want to go first, or whoever wants to go, just have at it. It'll be fun.
Yes. So I always say TikTok is probably the best because of how quickly you can grow. So if you can get down your systems and your content and your words and your hook, then you will probably, with consistency, of course, because that's at every platform, you will then see a lot quicker results. And TikTok is nice because, like, as a mom, I don't have the time to, like, today I'm at my mom's house, I'm on my computer, like I don't have the time to like get ready every day. So TikTok, when you look like shit, it does better. And like for me, that's huge because I don't have to, like, I can be in a sweatshirt hoodie in my PJs on the couch, eating chips, talking about stuff that's going to get me 15 loan estimate sheets, to review that night. So like, that's the biggest thing. People put so much pressure on creating content because you feel like you need a studio and a mic and lighting and cameras. And like, you can literally just pick up your phone with TikTok. And as long as what you say is on point, and that just takes practice and consistency, people are going to listen.
Mihn, why should we use Instagram?
Because if you want to run a business, you got to, for me, you use Instagram, because Instagram so far has all the tools to run your business like a business. You can scale it, you can monitor it, you can ease off, add on, you can do a lot with it. That's why I like it so much. And I'm with her on Instagram too now. Like this is what I use. I plug this in. If I'm indoors, I use a ring light. I record here. I got Josh Pitch released this editing app. I uploaded to the editing app. They do all the editing for you, and you just post it now. It's consistency, posting, a lot easier, but you can scale the business a lot faster. And I think if most people who do watch this, I'm assuming they are in the industry and they don't know how they're not viral, but they've made their money. You can use Instagram, pump your money into Instagram. As long as you get the fear out of your voice, you can grow and you can be successful.
Nice. So Jeb, why should we say no TikTok, no Instagram? I don't like it. And why should people go to YouTube?
I don't necessarily think you should. I'm going to play devil's advocate. I think you should use, like, the question in the industry always is like, what's the best CRM? The best CRM is the one that you're going to use, right? So which platform is the best platform? The one that you're actually going to be consistent with, post content, engage your audience, do the things that you should be doing to run a business, right? That said, YouTube for me allows longer form content to stay relevant, SEO, search wise. That longer form video allows me to, I'm long-winded. I don't have to think about cutting things short in order to kind of get what I'm saying across, which in some cases would probably be better. But for me, it's again, that's why I like YouTube. But I'm jealous of the TikTokers. I'm jealous of Instagram, Mihn, Theoni, both of them, because they're able to just pick up a video, be raw. YouTube, it takes a little bit more than that, right? It's those types of videos don't typically perform very well unless you've got an audience already built. So do what you're going to do and be consistent. That's what I would say.
Jeb, where's the best place for people to learn more about you, connect with you?
That's a good question. You could go to, Jeb Smith is essentially my name across platforms. Want to watch YouTube videos, JEBSMIT on YouTube, Instagram, probably the best two places to reach out. I'm most active there, but you can also go to my website, which is jebsmith.net.
Yeah, you got great YouTube stuff. Mihn, where's the best place for people to meet you?
Instagram, I go to my personal page. It's my Ask Mihn Win. If you go into my What's a Mortgage, you will fall into my algorithm and into my ecosystem. Unless you want tons of emails, text messages, go to Ask Mihn Win to be safe.
Awesome. And Theoni?
Theoni the lender on every platform. Instagram, obviously, if you want to just shoot me a DM and we can chat.
Awesome. Well, guys, thanks for the time. There's a lot of nuggets there. I think if anybody's listening to this, you better have grabbed a pen and paper, take some serious notes. But I appreciate your guys' time. This has been fun. And, we'll have to do this again in the future, see how everything goes. I'll be very interesting to see. I think anybody doing Instagram or TikTok or YouTube and you're doing consistently and whatever business you're in, you're just going to do more business. You're going to crush it in 2024. Because like you said, Jeb, when you're walking around, people are just on their phones everywhere. That's not going to go away or stop. It's unbelievable. So that's where the attention's going. And it's a lot easier and cheaper, and you don't have to overthink it to reach people through these platforms. And like you said, Mihn, you got to get over the fear. You got to get over your voice, your head, and you just got to be you. And, the quicker you can become you and figure out your avatar and be consistent is the quicker you're going to get to your ideal client and start closing deals and making money.
Yeah. And ask for help, because you guys are going to hear my toddler. He just woke up.
Perfect.
Because I feel like we're all very willing to help. There's no gatekeeping. Mihn says it all the time. Yep. So ask for help if you like our content. Just ask about it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We're all collaborating here. That's what it's about. There's tons of business out there. So that's kind of the new age here. That's why I love this guys and you guys. It's been awesome to collab and get to know each other and share secrets, because I know a lot of people are not like that, but you should surround yourself with people that are like that. So whatever industry you're in and you want to learn, you can learn from somebody in an opposite industry, or like you said, Jeb, you go around to a lot of different groups, talk to people. It's amazing how many people are doing things out there. I connected, I know Theoni and Mihn, and you guys connected, and you guys, even as Mihn is doing stuff, you still learn, right, Mihn? You learned something from Theoni. It's crazy.
I rock her way now, make my life easier.
Yeah. No, I know. Trust me, Theoni. I'm sitting there going Jeb, what you just said, it's shit, you're sitting there cooking and this, and you're doing your stuff. It's a lot easier than putting on this whole production. It's, there's a lot of envy there.
Agreed.
But Jeb doesn't have to do content consistently.
And Jeb's stuff is evergreen. He's gonna get leads for the next 50 years. I have to make a TikTok a day.
It's for real. I need a new song to go platinum every day.
Shout out T Swift.
Yeah, too funny.
That's awesome. Well, guys, thanks. This has been fun, and I'll be in touch.
All right.
Thanks,
guys.
You guys.
Adios.
If you're already a real estate investor, you know that aside from cash flow, you also get huge tax benefits by investing in real estate. But are you taking full advantage of all the potential tax benefits? We've been working with Tim Looney at CSSI for a few years now, and he's saved us and our clients hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars in taxes doing cost segregation studies on their properties. Let me give you a few examples. We bought a property in 2019. If we had just used straight line depreciation, we would have saved about $18,750 in taxes. But because we did a cost seg, we saved $258,000. That's $239,350 more than standard straight line depreciation in the first year. The other great thing is, if you're classified as a real estate professional, you can apply this to other sources of income like W-2 or 1099 income, and you can also roll over any unused depreciation to future years. If you've owned your properties for a few years already, don't worry, you can still do a cost seg and save big on your taxes. This is not tax advice, so consult your CPA to see if you qualify to take advantage of these benefits. Call or text him at 318-469-9861 to get your complimentary property analysis. Once again, that's 318-469-9861. And I'll also include his information in the show notes. You guys don't want to miss out on these tax savings.